Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Tonight we have a late night insight video on a sample that I have been nursing for a while now. And this was very kindly sent to me by one of my brothers across the pond, Scott from Germany. Thank you, Scott. This is Oud Sinharaja from Bortnikoff. And this was released in 2020. And Bortnikoff is a brand that I really respected whenever I, got into the artisanal scene, we'll say. So when I discovered the Aries Ladores and the Bortnikoffs of the world, it was like opening up a new door. However, there are some new fragrances from the House of Bortnikoff that I've been a little put off by. So I wanted to go back and really try to explore some of the old catalog of stuff that I haven't smelled. And this was high up on the list. So Oud Sinharaja. So let's talk a little bit about what it is, how I would describe it. And remember, this is a late night insight video, so it's not meant to be as long as a review, although I can ramble, so it very well may end up that long. But this is just supposed to be kind of a quick hit. I've been wearing it here for the last 3 hours or so, and I did a fresh spray maybe half an hour ago, give or take here. And I've worn it to bed once before, so I've got a little idea. You can see I only have a couple drops left, but Oud Sinharaja, so let's go. So first of all, I will tell you that the first thing you're going to notice is that Oud Sinharaja starts off like a creamy, multifaceted, layered floral fragrance. And it's a jasmine and oud fragrance. So that is the gist of the fragrance. And so it's not a rose oud, it's a jasmine oud. And it's mixed with, almost at this point in time, now that I've smelled so many Bortnikoff fragrances, it's almost like his patented move. He has a patented cardamom note that you get in the top. If you've watched many of my other Bortnikoff reviews, I talk about that kind of cardamom spicy opening in the top a lot, and it's here. So this is there are some fragrances that he's put out that really have that Bortnikoff DNA, that his florals really seep through. If you smelled Amber Cologne, or if you've smelled something like, let's say, Oud Monarch, right? These really have the Bortnikoff signature, if you will, in my opinion. And a lot of it has to do with the way he uses the florals. And this fragrance highlights his strengths in that area. So some of the recent Bortnikoff reviews have been very negative, and I'm glad to say that this one is not going to be. This is going to be a positive review. So we actually have 2 positive reviews today. And so this basically has his signature. It's got his fingerprints all over it. So jasmine heavy perfume with oud. That is sort of if you want the Cliff Notes version of what this is, it's a jasmine and oud perfume. And I've smelled this type of composition being attempted by other brands. In fact, if you go throughout my history on the channel and you either go to the Xerjoff playlist or search for a fragrance called Al-Kat, which I have reviewed on the channel. I had a couple drops sent to me by a very nice friend. And Al-Kat was Xerjoff's attempt at a jasmine oud fragrance, and I'm sure there's many others out there. I know the new Feel Oud fragrances, which is right here. I've got a sample of Oud de Grande, and that's supposed to be a big jasmine and oud fragrance. So there'll be more from this DNA I'll be talking about very soon. But this particular one is executed to perfection. This really blows Xerjoff's Al-Kat out of the water as far as I'm concerned. And Al-Kat had a lot of other, cashmeran and a lot of other notes in there that really made it feel much scratchier, and the jasmine was not as well blended. It was a little bit more indolic as well, and there were other things going on. The oud didn't feel as high quality. All of these things really are negatives to the Xerjoff, go figure, and positive to Bortnikoff's side here. And so what ends up happening is it ends up feeling like Bortnikoff sort of fills in the blanks where the other jasmine oud fragrances I've smelled have failed. And what he does is he blends this very creamy magnolia and frangipani with the jasmine. Now, frangipani always gives me this very floral, well, of course, floral, but this very tropical vibe. So imagine going to Hawaii and they put that lei on you of flowers. That is the image frangipani gives me. And it has this very tropical feel to it. And he just does a fantastic job of, it's almost like he has a superpower And his superpower is blending these florals in a way where it really shows and highlights the power of the florals and how they play off of each other, but also blends into the rest of the composition. And I would say that even for people that don't like, you know, white floral fragrances, give this a try, because it's blended with this sort of woodiness from the oud, and also there's a little bit of resins from the labdanum. It's just brilliant. I really enjoy this. And so let's talk a little bit about one of the stars of the show, that jasmine note. So here's the thing. So the jasmine starts off when you first spray, when the first drops hit your skin, the jasmine is going to be about as indolic as it's going to be throughout the entire journey of the scent. The very opening of the fragrance is about as indolic of a jasmine note as you're going to get. And actually, on the indolic scale of things, if you would say, you know, 10 being super indolic, 1 being not indolic at all, this is only maybe like a 3 or a 4. So you're not going to get that sort of fecal jasmine, you know, that's really going to put some people off and be super challenging. It's not. This is a fragrance that is extremely smooth and well blended, and that's something that you have to keep in mind. So as the fragrance continues to dry more, what ends up happening is the jasmine, the little bit of indolic jasmine that you get when you first spray, starts to sort of blend into the rest of the fragrances, right? And so in the beginning, you get a little bit of cardamom and pink grapefruit and bergamot to sort of bring you into the fragrance. You know, it's like a springboard to get you into the heart of the fragrance. And it does a beautiful job. It also really helps mask a little bit of that indolic jasmine that comes at you right from the beginning. And so it basically becomes more and more smooth as it dries, and the jasmine and the white flowers do become slightly more powdery. Okay, so as the fragrance dries down, slightly more powdery is what you're going to notice from the white florals, and even maybe a little fruity. The jasmine comes across as a little bit powdery, a little fruity, and yet, again, I'll say, if you don't like white florals, try the way Bortnikoff blends his floral creations. He does florals like nobody I've ever smelled. I think it's one of the great strengths that he had as a perfumer, and you know, I hope he can continue it as the house goes on. But very beautifully blended fragrance by Bortnikoff in Oud Sinharaja. So now on to part 2 of the composition, and that's the oud. So the oud in the composition is what I would call a very calm oud. It's actually a pretty hard oud note to describe because the star of the show is Sri Lankan oud, okay? And Parfumo actually says there's an Indian oud, which I don't smell, an oud from the Philippines, which I'm not very familiar with. I do have a couple drops of Philippine oud that Russian Adam sent me, so maybe I need to revisit that. But Sri Lankan oud is sort of the star of the show, if you will, and it feels like it's a very calm oud. I think that's a good word for it. It's a very calming type oud. It isn't overly animalic like you're going to get from your Indian ouds, which, you know, I love those type of fragrances, but this is just not it. It's a very calm and mellow oud is the way to describe it. It basically comes across as smelling slightly woody, slightly herbal-like smell, but very easy, I would say, for the person who isn't a fan of the big-time fermented, animalic, in-your-face ouds, right? There's a richness and a depth to this upon sniffing, but that's sort of what it adds to the composition, is this richness and depth and a little bit of sweetness. There's almost like this, you know, burnt sugar sweetness, if you will, to the fragrance. So, to the oud, I should say. But it's not, I should take that back. Actually, I don't want to say it's burnt sugar, because that gives an image of something it's not. It just adds a little bit of, a little bit of this sweetness to the woods, if that makes sense. I don't think it's burnt sugar. If you're thinking like by the fireplace or something, you're way off. That's not the image I meant to portray. It just has a little bit of this, you know, natural sweetness from the oud that you don't get in other types of oud. Sri Lankan oud is one of those ouds that is pretty well known for bringing in a little bit of that, you know, instead of being medicinal and animalic, it's more herbal, slightly leathery, but that may be coming from the labdanum as well, to be fair. And, you know, just a little bit of sweetness. So the woody base is the next part of the composition to discuss, and it is a beautiful woody base. So there's a brilliant note of Atlas cedar in here with labdanum. And the labdanum, like I said, may be where that leathery bit is sort of coming from. It may not be coming from the Sri Lankan oud at all. And of course, like all Bortnikoff fragrances that I've smelled, especially these older compositions, the quality of the ingredients is amazing. The oud in here smells extremely high quality, very natural. Again, the leatheriness from the labdanum starts to shine through, and there's this brilliant stickiness to the dry down from the labdanum. You know, if you've ever held real labdanum in your hands, it's extremely sticky. I mean, if you have labdanum on your fingers and you put them together, it's almost like you can't open them again. I mean, it is really, really sticky stuff. And imagine like spilling soda or something on the counter and then like putting your finger in it once it's dried. And you get that dry, sticky, sugary soda thing on your finger. That's a little bit how the dry down feels. It is sticky, but remember, the florals are, to me, sort of the star of the show. And so even though I'm focusing on talking a little bit about the base as it dries, the combination in the heart, Magnolia, Frangipani, Jasmine Sambac, those three florals are really sort of the star of the show to me, because Bortnikoff does those so well. But it's like a jasmine heavy oud fragrance is the way to think about it, with Bortnikoff spices in the top and a little bit of woodiness in the base. And that's sort of what really makes this perfume sparkle to me. And if you've ever seen pictures of the Sinharaja rainforest, it has these very sparkling stones and streams and very vibrant wildlife out there. And this fragrance has some pop to it. I mean, there's a little bit of pop to this. I think that's one of the things people liked about Xerjoff's Alcat, is because there's this pop. I mean, there's this unmistakable, you know, in your face. Now, this has a little bit of that, but with Bortnikoff's refined quality. So the kids say, what's poppin', right? So this fragrance pops to me because of this very brilliant sort of floral combo that Bortnikoff created. And what's interesting about the floral combo, sticking with the popping theme, is that folks say that Magnolia can almost have this fruity champagne-like smell. Imagine popping the champagne cork on a fruity bottle of champagne. And whenever you pour it, you sort of get that fizzy bubbliness, but you also can almost smell this fruitiness coming from the bubbly, fizzy, popping champagne. A little bit of that is what the Magnolia brings to the composition. So imagine that blended with the tropical style Frangipani with the Jasmine Sambac, which is more sort of powdery, and, you know, it's not as indolic of a jasmine, but very beautiful, very well done. Woody, floral. Let's see what Bortnikoff has to say. Let me just read you the little blurb from... Okay, so I was reading the base notes, actually, from the Bortnikoff website, and it does say essential oil of wild oud from Sri Lanka, India, and the Philippines. So there actually is Indian oud in here, but it doesn't smell animalic to me. Maybe they use just the tiniest touch. So here's the description. It says, Oud Sinharaja is a unique, one-of-a-kind fragrance harnessing the beauty of the essential oil of wild oud from Sri Lanka. This oil is distilled personally by perfumer Dmitry Bortnikoff and is therefore a truly special and inimitable ingredient. Excuse me. This spectacular evocation of the Sinharaja rainforest in Sri Lanka will inspire and enliven you with its ethereal beauty and seductive complexity. Oud Sinharaja is a tribute to the exotic delights of the fruits, flowers, and plants of this exotic wonderland and the enigmatic mystery of oud. Zesty bergamot and pink grapefruit provide a bright and invigorating opening. I agree with that. Perfectly complemented by the smooth spiciness of cardamom, the floral heart of the scent compromises luscious Frangipani, exquisite Magnolia, and timeless beauty of Jasmine Sambac. In the base of the perfume, crisp cedar wood blends with resinous labdanum and the magical aroma of wild oud from Sri Lanka. The scent has a fresh and airy quality which is instantly appealing and which belies the complexity of the many accords which have been masterfully blended to produce it. The juicy citrus and breezy floral tones make this a perfect scent for any occasion. The rare and exotic oud at the base of the scent provides the rich and exotic counterpoint which works in perfect harmony, complementing, but never overpowering the other notes. Okay, and it's an X-rated parfum. So, there you go. And I think if you're interested in price, 50 mils is the usual $350 for Bortnikoff, and 9 mils is $90 in the little 9 mil Discovery atomizers. So that's pretty much the blurb. It is a very unique, I mean, here's the thing. It's not unique to the house of Bortnikoff. And what I mean by that is there are other Bortnikoff fragrances where you will smell this floral combination, let's say. But it's unique as in that outside of the house of Bortnikoff, I've never smelled any perfume that has this sort of combo of these flowers that smell like this. It's a very unique, and he blends them in a way which I've never come across another fragrance that can recreate this floral sort of smell. He must be using extremely high quality jasmine, and which is not cheap. Jasmine flowers are not cheap. And magnolia and frangipani, and he's just sort of created this DNA for the house that I really like. Now, as much as I like this, would I go run out and buy a bottle? No, I would not. I would just enjoy my current Bortnikoff fragrances. I mean, these scratch the itch just as well. I just happen to have Oud Von Ark here, so I grabbed it. But this actually has, I think, magnolia and frangipani in it. Yes, it does. It has magnolia and frangipani in the top, so that proves my point right there. So you can see, even this random one that I ended up picking has magnolia and frangipani in the top. So you can see he's got a little bit of a signature going. That and the cardamom and all that stuff going on. But is this a good perfume? Yes. This is not one of the ones that I would bash like I did some of the other ones recently. This is good. This is good stuff. And I think this is what Bortnikoff needs to get back to, doing what he does best. So that's sort of my just early impression, late night insight, if you will, on Oud Sinharaja. If you have experience with this one from 2020, do leave me a message. I have to say thank you again to Scott for supplying me with this sample. It is damn near impossible to keep up with everything, and you guys have made it as easy on me as possible to do these reviews when the urge comes to me. So thank you to everyone who's ever sent me anything. Thank you, Scott. I'd love to see your faces in the comments. Leave a comment below about Oud Sinharaja. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the trajectory of the brand of Bortnikoff. And hopefully see everyone in the comments. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers, guys. And I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.